Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld again, and today we're going to take a look at creating loadouts in Sandstorm that don't suck and hopefully suit your playstyle. And that's going to be the running theme of all of these tips. This isn't a video on how to create the ultimate loadout for this game, it's about creating the best loadout for you. We're going to talk about mechanics like weight, stamina, and supply points, so if you don't know what they're all about, well, listen up. Because hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have at least a basic understanding of how your loadout choices can have a huge effect on the core physics of the game. Okay, so to kick off, the first tip I want to give you guys is that the most important loadout decision you'll actually make is made on the class select screen. And that's because picking a class will sometimes drastically affect what weapons and gadgets you'll have available, and that can have a huge impact on your team. Because some kits like the Demolitions kit and especially the Commander for example are limited because they have access to unique and very powerful abilities. And so as a rule of thumb, if you don't know what you're doing with these kits, just don't pick them full stop, because if you do, they could literally cost your team the match. Also, another really big tip that I want to give you guys before you even get into building your first loadout is make sure you read everything on screen. Not only are there descriptions of each class and every attachment, there's also some pretty detailed weapon stats on the right-hand side of the weapon select screen. Every piece of gear in Sandstorm has a supply point value, which is used to help balance the game, and you really need to know if the points you're spending are worth it. So make sure you experiment a little and make a note of how your changes affect the stats and also how they affect the weight stat on the top left, because really that's the easiest way to get a good idea of which points are worth spending and which points are better spent elsewhere. Now, just to explain why the last point is relevant a bit more, the next tip is make sure you're conserving weight whenever you can, because it will add up pretty quickly with some classes. And weight is a massively important stat in this game because it affects things like movement speed and stamina, which can counteract any benefits from all that gear you've added. For example, if you're a marksman and you're running out of stamina all the time, well, you're going to find that your scope is swaying around and you won't be able to use the focus mechanic. And on the other hand, if you're trying to run into objectives, well, having heavy armor, for example, is going to slow you down, which might cause you to get shot more often to begin with. Now, another really important tip when it comes to building a loadout is to consciously make sure that you're trying to play your class. For example, you really don't want to pick a unique class like the Demolitions kit and then not run any of the explosives they have available, because that's just basically running a rifleman. And for example, with that class, what that means is that you are going to have to prioritize explosive slots, which may mean that you'll need to make the decision to pick the heavy carrier, which not only adds a lot of weight, but it also costs a lot of points. And that may mean that you'll need to make some tough decisions later when it comes to things like adding armor. Okay, so the next tip is one that most people don't really think of, and it's try to make sure when you can to pick weapons that have common calibers. Because if you do run out of ammo and you're not near a supply crate, well, you might not know this, but you can actually scavenge ammo off your dead teammates, but only if it's the same ammo type as what you have equipped. So for example, if you're playing as security, you might want to pick something that has the 5.56 NATO caliber, because that's what most of your team will be carrying as well. And that may allow you to either run with the light carrier or no carrier at all, which will help a lot with the point I mentioned earlier by reducing your weight a fair bit. But finally, to finish up, the last point I want to give you guys is probably the most important one, and that's always, and I can't stress this enough, equip smoke. And that's because you just don't get second chances in this game. If you get engaged out in the open, you're probably gonna die, and smoke prevents that from happening. There's always going to be situations where you have to cross a street or run into a building that's out in the open, and time again you'll find that smoke will prove how useful it actually is. So basically, if you're at the end of your loadout and you have used all your points up and you still don't have one smoke grenade attached, well, think again. Go back and make sure you take off one of those attachments and make a priority to run smoke. But anyway, guys, I guess that just about wraps up this video, so make sure you let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Also, let me know what some of your favorite loadouts are in Sandstorm, because I'd love to try them out, and maybe I might even make them into a video at some point in the future. As always though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and please feel free to check out the links in the description if you want to see any more of these videos. And also don't forget you can find my Twitter and Discord links down there as well if you want to keep in touch with me. And as always, until next time, see you later and have a good one.